I love a fresh start and a new month, and I like having a routine associated with that new month because it's a consistent, repeatable milestone that happens very predictably. However, I don't have time for like a 24-step routine that involves reconciling numbers in accounts or anything like that. As a result of completing this routine consistently for about a year, I aced my performance review. I feel like being consistent with the steps in this routine gave me the insight and the clarity to show up very powerfully in my review in a way that I had never been able to do before. And I've been through a lot of different routines. I had a lot of different monthly reset habits that I've tried, and they tended to get overwhelming. And so distilling them down to these 4 steps has been so helpful for me. And so here are the steps in my very simple, very effective monthly routine. Step 1 is I write down my personal and my professional reflections on the closing month. So we're just ending February right now, so I would sit down and I would write down my memories, my insights, any kind of pertinent notes to what had happened in that previous month that I want to remember going forward. That's step 1. Step 2 is to review my action papers. And this was key in having a place to store anything that needed further review that I didn't want to get to right away, and that really streamlines my whole paperwork process. Step 3 is to clean my entryway. I want to make sure that my door frame and just the base of my front step is clean, because I feel like if that is clean, then it sets the rest of my house up for cleanliness as well. And step 4, and this is kind of a little bit woo-woo, is to sprinkle cinnamon, to blow cinnamon across the threshold of my door, because that symbolizes welcoming prosperity into the house. So those are my 4 steps. Step 1, my monthly recap. And this is where the money is. This has been the most effective thing that I have done yet, because having these highlights written down has again given me such clarity on things that have happened throughout the month, which might not seem like a big deal when they're happening, but when I look back on the year, for example, I just had my 2025 review, it allows me to say, okay, well, this happened and I responded in this way, and oh, this was tiny, but it was a really effective thing that I did. So what I'll do is in my planner, this is a Leuchtturm notebook, I have these little tabs here. This is week at a glance, monthly calendar, professional, and then personal reflections. And I can just flip to my professional tab. This is for 2025. And I do it by quarter. So I have my professional highlights for Q1 through Q4. And they're just little things, like I said, navigated XYZ, or I did this for this client, or in February of last year, I did this. And looking back on these events and these little items had really kind of built for myself a portfolio, a visible portfolio of tasks that I've completed, which is so helpful, again, when I was filling out my review. So this too is something that I will do retroactively. If a month is super busy and I didn't get around to doing it like right on the first of the month or at the end of the previous month, I will go back and fill it in, and that is fine. It's just having that framework and that time set aside to have this review for myself that is so powerful. And like I said, I've been doing this for about a year and it is so effective. This is 2025 and this is 2026, and I'm so excited to carry it forward. On the personal side, it's a great way to remember like memories that I make with my family and things that, again, might not seem like such a huge deal, but are such fun memories to record. And I hadn't been as diligent about that in 2025, and I'm aiming to do that more in 26. I have a Hobonichi Weeks, and that's what I'm using, and I'm doing that in the month section. I have my highlights for my family in my monthly calendar. Like we went to a birthday lunch, we went to a couple Sixers games, we had a snow day, and then we went to a concert in the next month. These are little things that I want to remember, and I wouldn't necessarily remember unless I made a point to go in and write them down. So that is what I do on a professional and personal level as part of my monthly reset. Step 2 is to review my action items and action papers. And this is a great way to simplify the paperwork flow in my house, because I don't know about you, but I have a lot of mail and like paper items that tend to build up. Like my daughter brings home stuff from school and I get just tons of mail coming in, and I might want to review them at a later date, or I might want to file them away in my paperwork system. but I don't want to do it right then, like in the middle of kind of dinner and getting stuff ready for the day. So it's helpful for me to have one folder that I put all of my action papers into, and then at the end of the month or the beginning of the next month, I can go through them and say, and then further sort them out in that way. So I've also heard that you should only touch a piece of paper once and not kind of leave it hanging around. But having one folder that I put all the papers that I need to review at a later date into has kind of kept me from that valley of indecision when I don't know what to do with things. So having one place to keep them all together has been really helpful to then assign a way to review them all. So I aim to be consistent in having one day set aside to review all the action papers for the month, and that keeps clutter from building up, at least on the paper side. To illustrate, this is my action paper folder, and it's really full because it's the end of the month. And what I keep in here is everything that I don't need to act on immediately, but will need to act on in the next 1 to 3 months. So I put things like memorabilia that I want to put in our archive scrapbook type collection. I put things like receipts from health insurance procedures. I put things for school that I will need in, again, 1 to 3 months, but not immediately. I put any tax documents that may come in that I will need to reference. And I actually have a separate folder for that, but just to keep everything simple, I put all papers that I will need to reference at some point into this folder. So there's just one place where it's going, and I don't have random papers throughout my house. I just have all papers in one place until I can put them into their forever homes. Step 3 is to clean my entryway, and that is the top and the sides and my door, and then the floor and the doormat. This is kind of a feng shui principle, and that's not a guiding principle in my life, but it's something I like to listen to and kind of be aware of. The idea that if your doorstep is not clean, if your entryway is not clean, then prosperity and abundance and money cannot enter your home. And I just take that as a reminder to clean my door because that's a part that I often forget. So I like the tradition of making sure my door is clean to welcome the new month, and ideally welcome in even more prosperity and money and abundance, because who couldn't use a little bit more of that? If I'm really feeling productive or on it that month, I will continue to clean around the door and then clean into the house. But that is the one area that my sort of anchor area, the door frame, making sure that's clean as I start a fresh new month is a great sort of mental cue to me to say, okay, just this one area is all I have to do. And if I want to do more, that would be great. And then step 4 is to blow cinnamon across my doorstep, and I do this either right at midnight, 12:01, or the next day, the first day of the new month. And this is very new age and has very little scientific no scientific backing, but I like that tradition because I like cinnamon. Cinnamon is meant to represent prosperity, and I just like having the smell of cinnamon. And I've been doing this particular step for, say, about 6-8 months, and I feel like it's made a difference. I feel like it's, if nothing else, made me aware of the idea that I do want to actively welcome in more money and more prosperity and more abundance into my life, and having that actual physical cue of actually blowing cinnamon across the door frame is very effective. Again, I take positive and leave anything else that's negatively associated with this particular routine because it encourages in me something that's beneficial, and I like it. I did it on New Year's and I continue to do that, and it's something that works for me, so passing that along. So that's my quick, effective, easy 4-step routine that I hope is not too overwhelming. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and let me know if there's anything you do particularly to welcome a new month, or any monthly routines or rituals that you have. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks again, and I hope you'll keep watching. Bye.